Workshop meeting to order at 4:05 on January 9, 2004. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Supervisor Evans,
Here.
Councilman Malone,
Present.
Councilman Perticone,
Here.
Councilman Weiner,
Here.
and Attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
I want to take the opportunity to thank our guardians, our police officers. Today is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and I want to thank Chief Peters and all of his police officers for keeping us safe. I also want to pass on a thank you to their families. Chief Peters, you guys have done a great job. I'm impressed every day with what your guys go through. I'm impressed with the sacrifice that you made, and I really wish the community knew more about what you do, and unfortunately they were not because of the work that you do. But I do want to express from myself and the whole board and our community how much we really care and how much we really appreciate having such a great police department. I want to remind the board and the employees that we have a number of pending litigation going on. I want to remind you that it is the town's policy not to speak on that litigation. And I urge every employee as well as the community at large not to jump to any conclusions. I look forward to leading this great town in a positive way. If we can only do that if we work together, and if we can only do that if we work together to solve the problems that we have, as well as to build what we do have in a better way. We're going to go into. All right, also, we're going to talk about a couple of things. We did find someone for the secretary's position, and I want to remind the community that we are trying to find a way around the elimination of part-time seasonal work positions that have injured the work that we do, and we want to do that in the most positive way possible. So we're going to go into the department head reports, starting with Mary.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just a few things. The Fire Marshal's Office mailed out both 2023 and 2024 operating permits in late November. And I just wanted to give an update that we've taken in about 50% of the revenue for those, which adds up to about $56,000. The only other thing I have is that just that we're keeping a close eye on the potential wind damage. Obviously, our department plays a key role, both fire marshal and code enforcement, with responding to any trees, branches that would be down into houses. So we're just keeping a close eye on that today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We're working on getting the financial system finalized. We're closing in on a live date that looks to be end of January. Currently, we're also working on the time and attendance and payroll system. These look to be on track to be live at Q2 of this year. Couple infrastructure projects going on, just finishing up the IT closet, first floor of the library. Once that's done, we can redeploy our assets to the disaster recovery location at the DPW. And once that's complete, we'll actually realize the finalization of the infrastructure rebuild that's been kind of ongoing for the past couple of years. So that'll be a pretty big milestone once we reach it. And coinciding with the disaster recovery finalization, the DPW will be converted over to the cloud infrastructure. This will be the library, recreation, and DPW, with the town hall to follow.
Thank you very much. DPW.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We are in full snow and ice mode, so we did have Is that me? Oh, okay. Sorry. So
There's a
we
noise
did have
going
a snow event over the weekend. Very successful. I thought we handled it very well. As Mary stated, we're also on alert, watching the wind forecast for the rest of the day. We haven't had any major impacts yet, so we'll hopefully stay that course. It looks like the south of the county is the more target area for that, but we're ready and able to respond as required. We also are, I don't know if everyone's aware, but this year on April 8th is a solar eclipse, and we are in the path of totality, which means we will experience in this area the complete covering of the sun by the moon. And this is apparently a very big deal, and a lot of people travel to areas to see this. So the county and OEM office and all of the towns and villages have had some planning meetings. We're at monthly meetings now getting ready for this because it's apparently a very large visitor influx on that day to witness this. And it is on a Monday, so they anticipate that this will happen over the whole weekend. So we will be prepped and ready for that. Obviously, we think traffic management will be a thing, so we will be ready for that. The town-wide pruning work throughout and the right-of-way trees has begun. Flower City started last week and seem to be moving at a good clip. They're very efficient. They have numerous crews out performing this work, so that looks great so far. And we are also poised to go out to bid for the Seneca Road reconstruction project next week. And that project will, based on the award and such, that project is poised to begin this spring.
Are you looking at doing a shuttle service for the eclipse?
Yeah, so right now we're at the phase of they're looking for all of the host sites to register, and so we know where these bigger pockets of areas where people are going to be congregating to watch it. And then, yes, I think Helmer Nature Center, we know, is looking to do an event, I believe, as well as alongside our rec staff and department. So there's certain areas. RMSC is looking to do a big event. So I think right now we're in the phase of identifying where these are, and then yes, how best to move people, transport, and make that the most efficient possible.
Thank you very much. Recreation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just piggybacking off of Aaron's report on the eclipse, yes, the Recreation Department is working with Helmer Nature Center, and we will be coordinating transportation to and from the community center. So we are working with them on that to help kind of alleviate some of the traffic congestion that Aaron spoke about. And as she said, everything is in flux right now. Meetings going on quite regularly for this upcoming event. In addition, we opened with our first year-round farmers market this past Thursday. We had a much smaller crowd than we anticipate moving forward, but we're looking forward to the growth each month. The winter market runs the first Thursday of each month from 4 to 7 o'clock, and then that runs through May. Beginning May 30th, we will move to our weekly farmers market again on Thursday evenings, and that will run through October, where we will cycle back to the monthly programming for the market. Our upcoming Winterfest celebration is scheduled to take place on Saturday, February 10th from 11 to 3 here at the Town Hall campus. We have a lot of exciting activities and programs that we're working on for that event, which is one of the larger town-wide events that we host each year, so we're looking forward to that. And then the winter-spring activity guide hit mailboxes the week before Christmas, so all town residents should have received one detailing information on programs and activities offered here in town from January through May, which we are currently, that's our program cycle we're working on right now, and then already starting planning for summer programming and summer camps. So always looking ahead to what's coming up next, but busy time.
Thanks very much. HR?
Thank you. So January is typically quite a busy time for HR. Ending last year's records, picking up the new year. So we're really looking forward to the IT project Kevin mentioned with our timekeeping and payroll system. We're working really hard to get that up and running. But meanwhile, you got poor Denise upstairs. She's doing payroll. And our current system, she actually has to manually calculate pay rates from one year to the next in a split payroll. So this is well overdue, and I thank Kevin for his work on that. But these are the main things we're working on, that making sure our W-2s get out to our employees on time, and health insurance changes, things of that nature.
Chief Peters.
See if it works. All right, very good. We're actually in the finishing up ordering our equipment for our K9 vehicles and our K9 unit. Starting to get all that stuff in place so that we can, probably about the middle of February, we'll be selecting our two dogs and then getting those into the hands of the handlers so that they can get that adjustment period. And then the K9 unit, the state K9 class starts in March 18th. Finishing up that, we are in the middle of scheduling all the interviews for the ATF task force. Hopefully getting our officers out there. We've had a bunch of officers out on family medical leave, so waiting for them to get back so that we can not impede their time at home with their newborn children. I'm actually just going to be starting to work with Jason's office here to promote a clerk from clerk 3 to clerk 2, and at that point we'll be able to actually hire a clerk 3, badly needed with the amount of work that's actually going on in our office over there. Training, we have a bunch of training opportunities coming up, so we're getting officers registered for that, including from the captains all the way down, so that we can, we have an FBI leadership class school that we're sending a couple officers to, sending a couple officers to the TAC Ops North training opportunity, and I think it's going to be in April, so that we can get a bunch of certifications out of them at that training opportunity. And then actually our community engagement coming up here. We have the Polar Plunge coming up on February 4th. That's going to be at Ontario Beach State Park. It's benefit Special Olympics. So if you want to come down and jump into the lake with us, you're fully, I'll invite you in. I'll give you our sign up and have fun with it. So we're, obviously I have to do it each year, so it's not that bad. Once you get in there, it's not too bad.
I would join you. How's that?
Keep telling yourself
statement.
that.
It gets you at first, I'll tell you that. And then after that, that same night, we are actually about 4 of us from our department. We have a county ice hockey team. We're playing the county fire department on a fire and ice tournament, and we're going to be benefiting breast cancer and survivors of breast cancer. So that'll be out at the Bill Gray's Iceplex. Last year, the firemen got lucky, and they kind of squeaked us out by 1 goal. You heard me. So obviously another good charity event right there. So that'd be good.
And thanks very much. We also have another town department, the courts. We're going to hear from them also. First, I want to read into, before they come up to the podium to speak, I want to read into record a letter from former Judge Patrick Russi. And it's concerning the elimination of Deputy Chief Clerk position by the Irondequoit Town Board in November 2023. Dear Mr. Supervisor and members of the Town Board, I'm writing to you regarding the elimination of the Deputy Chief Clerk position by action of the Irondequoit Town Board on or about November 14th, 2023. Being in the Irondequoit Town Justice at the time that the Town Board voted to eliminate this position, I must tell you that I was shocked and dismayed that such action was taken. The Deputy Chief Clerk position had been created a mere 18 months earlier, in the spring of 2022, due to the realization that the town judges that a Deputy Chief Clerk was needed in the court office to assist the Chief Court Clerk in the preparation and following of the various and sundry reports required by New York State's Office of Court Administration. The Deputy Chief Clerk position was created to cover the Chief Clerk's responsibility when the Chief Court Clerk was on vacation, ill, or out of office for any reason. Furthermore, the Deputy Chief Court Clerk will continue to be responsible for the many tasks that had always been assigned to the prior court clerk position. Said too many times fast. These tasks include all requisite actions involving small claims, evictions, community service, county jury referrals, pre-sentence investigations, and entering order of protections in the New York State's Central Registry. The preliminary 2024 Town of Arundecoit budget, as it related to the Arundecoit Town Court, only called for the elimination of a single part-time court clerk's position, 20 hours per week. This preliminary budget was circulated to the various departments, supervisors in September or October 2023. The three town judges and the chief court clerk discussed this proposed cut, but rather in a spirit of collegiality with and for the town, accept the elimination of this position and redistribute the work for this position between the other two part-time clerks that would remain funded on staff. Then, on what I believe may have been a single day's notice, an email was circulated to all the town department supervisors indicating that the town board will be holding a special meeting on November 14th, 2023. I do not believe that there had been any prior notice of the potential elimination of other positions within the town, or other than what was included in the proposed 2024 budget, which had been circulated over a month earlier, as previously stated. At that meeting, 7 additional positions within town departments were eliminated, including the Deputy Chief Court Clerk position. I submit that the action of the town board in eliminating these positions was inappropriate in the light of the circumstances recited therein. Furthermore, I just do not understand how the very same members of the town board who voted to create the Deputy Chief Court Clerk position would decide to eliminate it a mere 18 months later. That seems utterly contradictory and illogical to me and to my co-judges in the Arundecoit Town Court as well. As former justice of the Arundecoit Town Court and as a lifelong Arundecoit resident who cares deeply about our town, I respectfully ask that you can reconsider the actions that resulted in the elimination of the Deputy Chief Court Clerk position and reinstate this position, as it is vital to the best interests of how the Arundecoit Town Court functions and serves the people who comes before it. I hope that you will take appropriate action to rectify this wrong. Respectfully submitted, Patrick K. Russi, former Arundecoit Town Justice. Town Justice. Please step podium. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for giving us the opportunity just to speak briefly. We do feel similar to what Judge Russi has stated in his letter. I'm here with Judge Whitman DeVoe and our new judge, Judge Brian Green. The three of us want to, well, the four of us, including Judge Russi, want to explain why this position is so important. In the packet that I've given you, there's a history of the position just since 2022. That's when we asked. The deputy court clerk position's always been a position at the court. We just asked for it to be enhanced. It was all we asked for. It went from a $35,000 job to a $50,000 job. We asked for a $15,000 increase because when our court administrator, who, it was a different title at that point, but it's the same as our chief court clerk, left, Dave Marion, there was a gap, there was a hole as to how we were watching how the money comes in to our court. And there is a lot of money that comes in because of the fines and surcharges, predominantly on traffic violations. That's where the bulk of the money comes from. When we realized this, that we didn't have someone who could compile our reports, when we realized we didn't have a full-time employee there overseeing the daily money transactions, that is why the judges put together this plan, which we ran by the former supervisor and the town board just a little less than a year and a half ago, to see if we can get this position increased and enhanced, and to give that deputy court clerk position some administrative responsibility. So that would, the new position would have to do all of the work that the old deputy court clerk would do, which was already stated in Judge Russey's letter. But in addition to that, the deputy court clerk would work with our chief court clerk in taking care of and following and documenting all of the money that comes in. So we now have two people looking at it instead of one, which was very important to us. We always want two instead of one, watching the money and keeping track of the money and filing our reports. We have to file, for those of you who don't know, we have to file a monthly report on all of the money that comes in. And it's down to the penny. So Sally Nash is also here. She's our chief court clerk. She's the one that's responsible for that, but we wanted the deputy court clerk to do that. That got approved. We were very happy. I believe it was anonymous, except I think one council member, Patrina, she did not vote on it, but everyone else approved it at the time. We hired Kim Kimball, who's been a great addition to our office, and she came in at that amount at $50,000. She has been doing what we anticipated, and that is helping Sally keep track of the money. She's also been doing all of the other responsibilities that job had before it was enhanced. And that job now has become vital to our office. I mean, it was vital before, even at the 35 with the, handling of our civil matters. Like, that clerk handles most of our civil matters. That's our, evictions, small claims, et cetera. And that's very important because our other clerks are handling our criminal matters, which takes up the bulk of the work. So the bulk of the work actually is the criminal matters. Where most of the money comes in are the vehicle and traffic. The vehicle and traffic isn't as much work, to be honest. It's the people come in who get a ticket, they either plead guilty or not guilty, they're entitled to a trial, and then if they plead guilty, they pay their fines. A lot of people plead guilty online, and then we get the money, they come in and pay the money. So that's basically, in a very brief and basic nutshell, how the office works, and we were really, really excited that we got this deputy court clerk position, because we did think, and we do still think, that it's a very important position for our office. Then, just to go along with the history, we did participate in all of the preliminary budget meetings. Now, when I say we, the judges are part-time. Sally Nash represents us at these meetings. And that's how it's always been, but Sally always updates us on everything that's going on. We were disappointed that the former supervisor was blaming us for a revenue loss when, to be honest, we don't control our revenue. We don't control what comes into our court, per se. We do administer fines and surcharges, so in a way that is what generates the revenue. But what is really the bulk of our revenue are traffic violations. And we started running numbers. I have some numbers to give to you if you want, but I just asked our clerk to look at 2018 and compare it to 2023. And the reason why is because some of our numbers have changed since COVID. That's not a doubt. The numbers went down. They are creeping back up. We are getting back. close, and I'm just talking VTL. The VTL went down. The criminal went down a little bit. We're looking at from 2018 and 2018, and you compare it to 2023, we only had a 16% decrease in criminal cases. And remember, that's, I think it was like 1,200 to just over 1,000. That was the difference in criminal cases. If you look at the traffic, it's down 54%. And I'm not here to blame. There is no blame, to be honest, as for the reason for that number. I know that our officers are working very hard. And this is really not my expertise as to why there's less tickets, but just from sitting over there and knowing what's going on a little bit over the police department, there are less officers there, I believe, now. There's been a lot of retirements. Also, there's been a change since COVID. Those numbers are coming back up. We are starting to get more traffic tickets now within the last year. So I do think that revenue will go back up. But we don't control our revenue. We administer fines and surcharges when they come in. Also, the money I'm talking about, when I can give you the forms, the forms, I brought some forms with money on them today. What you see on there is just the fines. The surcharge is additional, and that all goes to the state. We don't even see any of that anyways, so we only see a portion of the fines. And the reason I'm going through all this is because I think part of the reason why our former supervisor decided to unilaterally, without speaking to us or talking to us about it, take away the position is because he was blaming us for that loss of revenue. And we did have one meeting with him trying to explain what I've just explained to you. And it's not just traffic tickets. There's also a different way with the DA's office. They're prosecuting aggravated unlicensed operation, which is it's a smaller amount of money came in. That's still VTL, but they've changed how they prosecute those. And then finally, the state has changed things as to how the court can actually go after the money. So before, if somebody doesn't come in with their traffic ticket, what we are allowed to do, and we still are allowed to do, is scoff their license. And scoff their license means we can tell DMV they didn't show up and their driver's license gets suspended. In 2021, they passed a new act, the Driver License Act, or I can't remember the exact name, but that's partly the name. And they have stopped the courts from allowing scoffs for non-payment. So if the person does come in and they plead guilty, and we issue a fine and a surcharge, if in the past, before 2021, if they didn't show up for court, we were allowed to scoff their license, so their license would get suspended. They would have to pay a scoff fee to get back into court, and then they would have to pay their fine and surcharge. We're not allowed to do that anymore. We're not allowed to send a scoff in to get their license suspended for non-payment. So we have a file cabinet that's getting bigger of people who have been fined and surcharged. There's been a fine and a surcharge applied to them. They've pled guilty. They haven't paid. And we have no way really of getting them back right now. Our office makes an effort. We keep sending them dates to come back. We send them letters. We try to get hold of them, tell them to come back. Some of them do eventually, but it takes time. We'll eventually get that money, but it'll be a trickle, and it's not like all of a sudden we're going to get all this money at once. So these are some of the reasons why the revenue is down. But to me, that's an aside. Again, we don't control our revenue. We feel that position is vital to our court. If we had been talked to about it, we would have worked with a supervisor just like we worked with every supervisor before. We've had changes made to our court before. We've lost a clerk before for different reasons. We've changed a full-time clerk to a part-time clerk before. We've done that all with discussions with the supervisor. And for us to learn from an email about us losing our second in charge of the office was pretty devastating to us, especially since we had just asked for it and just over a year ago, and it was working great. It's helped our court tremendously. So that's what we have. I know Councilman Wehner, you asked for some numbers with respect to our court compared to others. I do have that. I can get that to you after the meeting too. What I did is I just pulled quickly Rush Henrietta's numbers. They're the only other court in the county with 3 judges. Comparing their numbers to ours, you'll see they're very similar to ours. Greece obviously has more. I didn't pull their numbers. They have 4 judges. They're the only court with 4. They also have thousands more people than us. Henrietta and Arundecoit traditionally have been the 2 next busiest courts, and then they trickle down after that. The rest of the courts have 2 judges. If you do have any questions about the position, we can give you any information you want about the position. If you have any questions about Kim Kimball, we can give you any information about her. We can give you her resume. I mean, we just gave it to you a little while ago. You can just add her jobs that she's done since then. We hope to have your support on this. It's important for our court. We want our court to run well. The judges and I, we have the responsibility to make sure that this court is a good court for Arundecoit and that it works well, and we do that. It is all work over there. If there's any perception that we're not working over there, that's just flat out wrong. You can see it in the number of criminal cases we do. We have a very active police department, and we're trying to keep up with them, and it's a lot of work over there. Taking away this position, not only would it stop us from having a second person reviewing the money, it also would cause all of that civil work that clerk does to be put back on our criminal clerks. And they're at their wits' end now. Especially we're down right now. We have to hire if this is approved, we're hiring an open clerk position for Judge Green. He's allowed to choose his own. That's how it goes in court. I think that's something that was also told to the board on the way out. When the former supervisor was out, I think he told the rest of the council members, well, this person can just slide into the open clerk position. That's not true. The new judge who's elected gets to choose. That's like your confidential clerk. The new judge gets to choose their clerk. We're not here just to save Kim Kimball's job. We're not here just for Kim. We are here because that position is vitally important to our court. So I thank you for your time. And again, if you have any questions for us, well, I'll stick around. I think the other judges will stick around. We can answer questions at the end. We can run any numbers that you want. We'll give you any numbers you want. We're proud of our numbers. It's not like we're hiding behind anything at all. I just want to thank you all for your time. Thanks.
Judge, thanks very much. Town Clerk?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. We are now in the throes of collecting taxes, and we will collect the taxes through to February 12th, because the 10th falls on a Saturday, and that's with no interest. After that, we'll collect till the end of May with some interest added. We are also going to start interviewing for a clerk position and possibly a seasonal tax collector just for the 5 months of the tax collection now. And then we're also becoming very busy with permits like the run events and dog licenses and handicap, and so we've been very busy.
Town Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So as you know, typically I break this into 2 sections, and then, which I'll do today, but I've also got an add-on at the end. So ongoing litigation. There are a couple matters. There's only one still outstanding from the Patrina Freeman lawsuits, and that's the one from federal court where we went to the Second Circuit. You'll recall that we prevailed at the Second Circuit. She actually was ordered to pay some of our fees associated with that, a small portion, because there's just a schedule for what you can recover, but we're still waiting on that payment. So another lawsuit was hers against Supervisor Fitzpatrick and the town for an alleged incident during an executive session. That will be heard. So she had sued in September. There was an answer and counterclaims for malicious prosecution and abuse of process. She never answered those. And so we moved for a default judgment that will be heard by the court on January 31st. And then there is another lawsuit concerning I-Square, which the board is aware of. There is a motion for a temporary restraining order or preliminary injunction that will be heard by the court tomorrow at 2. And so that's kind of the litigation that's going on right now. As for changes to the code and legislative type things, we're having discussions about ways that things can be improved. So we will continue to do that, and I expect that there will be some rehauling and revamping of many sections of the code. The last thing I just wanted to say was that at the December meeting, there was a public hearing concerning 1700 Hudson Avenue. And there was a couple different things that they wanted to do, but basically they wanted it rezoned because it was a split zone. One parcel had two different sections, and Michelle Nichols is very generously nodding at me, so I've got... Sure, thank you.
So if most of the board will remember, it was two parcels, 1700 Hudson Avenue. The front parcel is zoned manufacturing. The back parcel is zoned R4, multifamily residential. The plaza, the Ridge Hudson Plaza, has proposed to purchase the R4 parcel that's landlocked back there. They had heard feedback from the board asking for additional information, I believe, at the last meeting. I did reach out to their engineer, and they asked, I have a screenshot of it here, to table pending an update from the buyer, which is the Ridge Hudson Plaza. So we're waiting to hear back regarding, I believe it was stormwater and the need for the additional parking. I'm looking at Peter because I believe you were...
It was more of a need justification and understanding of why additional parking was required beyond what is currently there.
What they already have.
And if they're proposing a new use that has a heavier parking demand, to me, that's part and parcel to why that might be required, and there was none proposed.
Gotcha. Okay. So I will make sure that we get that information, and they did ask for a table it till next month.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to put a bow on that. Thank
Sorry.
you, Michelle.
Any questions?
So all the procedural requirements for actually changing the zoning have been met because the public hearing was held and closed at the December meeting. And now it's just awaiting a decision by the board. The board asked for additional information. And so once you get that information, the resolution will come before the board again. But it won't be during the January meeting.
Thank you very much. Controller?
So our office is also busy, very busy at this time of year. Not that they're not always busy, but more so year-end processing of the 2023 outstanding payments and ascertaining revenues that are due into the town still. That'll be ongoing. Usually the revenues are set pretty much by the end of January. We continue processing of 23 payments in through the February cycle. By the end of February, we're ready to start closing the books. Also, the 2024 year having started means all the new POs for yearly purchases and so on have to come in and get processed. We've had a minor delay trying to come up with a stopgap measure between our existing system and the new financial system that'll work in the new financial system, and we think we have a solution for that. So we sent something out yesterday to the departments on how to process the new POs or get them into us, at least at this point in time. And of course, the Munis new financial system conversion continues to take up staff time, but trying to make sure that we finally get there.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Mr. Nolan has requested an opportunity to speak to the town board, so we will allow him 5 minutes here. Before he begins, I want to remind everyone of some of the portions of the town code that govern public input. Speakers will address comments to the town board, staff, or department heads, and not to other members of the audience in the form of an attack or a debate. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. No member of the public shall engage in any demonstration, booing, hand clapping, or otherwise disrupt the formality of the town board meetings. No speaker has the right to demand an answer to specific questions from a member of the board. All such questions shall be directed to the supervisor, who may either answer them or refer the questions to the attorney of the town, if present, or a town board member or a department head. No speaker shall engage in any personal attacks against any town board member, department head, or any other official or employee, or any other person in the audience, or any person having any matter before the board. Any such persons shall not conduct themselves at all times, any such persons shall conduct themselves at all times in a civil manner. In addition, Ms. Nolan is urged to stick to the facts. The town will not condone any attacks on individuals, whether past or present officials, people who serve the town, or anyone else. Finally, I note that the town is currently involved in litigation against Ms. Nolan's company concerning code violations and dangers created by Mr. Nolan at I-Square property. Because we are in litigation, the attorney of the town has advised the town board not to make any statements about the substance of the lawsuit. Ms. Nolan, you have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Board. Thank you for, is this on?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this afternoon. That was quite the introduction. And I was, kind of negates my very first sentences, that my hope is to have an open, candid, two-way conversation about our lawsuit. The town, the taxpayers of our town, and I-Square are spending a ridiculous amount of money fighting this lawsuit. The lawsuit was contrived at the direction of the prior supervisor. It has caused substantial damage to I-Square, to our businesses, not just the legal cost, but significant loss of business, both at the brewery and our restaurants, but damage to our reputation, including the statement you made prior to me walking up here, assuming or feeling the need to say that I can't attack anybody, or if that's been the case, that's completely contrived. The lawsuit carries no merit. The town approved our development. The town issued building permits. The town signed off on our construction drawings. The town performed more than 100 inspections. The town issued certificates of occupancy and closed the permits. I brought some documentation with me tonight. These are the same documents that were in the court, and I'd like to get them in the board members' hands so we can run through just a couple of them.
Thanks very much.
You would just skip, just to validate one point that I made, right to the last page of that. That would be our first attorney bill for the temporary restraining order process. Take a gander at that. The temporary restraining order, just saying the words really makes people think that Mike Nolan's a violent guy and Mike Nolan's ought to do something. The implications of it go well beyond the purpose of this temporary restraining order. The temporary restraining order requested 4 items: to post no parking fire lane signs along the driveway of the senior living cottages at I Square, to remove a light pole, to place a sign at the entrance for addresses, and to apply to the town assessor for to have the addresses created. That's an awful lot of money to spend on 4 of these items. Furthermore, 2 of these items, the no parking fire lane and removing the light pole, and actually kind of a third one are addressed in your packet here. You'll see there is a very thorough review at the request of Supervisor Rory Fitzpatrick done by the fire marshal. That was a review that was concluded in March 14th of 2023, well before this lawsuit was filed. It includes pictures that are behind it showing a fire truck doing a full K-turn within the property. Should be noted, our driveway is 25 feet wide. Lorraine Drive is 23 and a half feet wide. Lorraine Drive does not have parking restrictions. The fire marshal is suggesting that we should have this, even though the 3 prior fire marshals had no issue with it. So pictures in there, the site plan, the very first document you have in there. This was signed off by the town. You can see the signature block in the upper left. Kerry Ivers, Fire Marshal George, and I can't pronounce his last name, DPW Commissioner, I believe that's Aaron McGee, and DPW Sewer Chris Young, all signed off on this plan. Has 14 apartments. It has a wall. It has the configuration that these were built in. It's pretty clear. If the town has a concern, why didn't they issue a violation, make a phone call, send a letter, have a conversation? To go right to a temporary restraining order process is to do nothing but to spend a whole bunch of money, have a whole bunch of attorneys fill their wallets at our expense and accomplish very little or nothing. So I respectfully ask that this be pulled back to the town level out of the state Supreme Court system, and so we can make some progress toward real resolution. The fire marshal during construction, and I'll wrap this up, Mr. Supervisor.
With the board's permission, I'd like to have Mr. Nolan finish his statement.
I'm fine with that.
Thank you. The fire marshal that approved the construction is the same one that signed off on these drawings, but during construction requested a couple of minor changes be made just so that the fire department could turn around. Before paving our driveway, George had St. Paul Fire Department come in, do a K-turn, practice, check the facility, and do it before he signed off. He actually made one minor change, and you'll see it at the apartment that is labeled, I think it says 4850, but where the turnaround would happen, he asked us to straighten out that little curve so that the fire truck could back in and pull out cleanly. It's also noted in the subsequent fire marshal's letter that the St. Paul Fire Department was back there again, did the exact same exercise again in the fall of last year when these pictures were taken, and he concluded his report in March of this year. Thank you for listening to me. I wish we could have a two-way conversation so that you guys could ask me questions and walk away without any doubt that everything I've told you tonight is the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nolan. Okay, we will now review the agenda items for the January 16th, 2024 regular town board meeting. We'll start with the financial report.
So in this report, we're presenting a preliminary look at the 2023 financial results for the town as of December 31st. The 2023 financial records will not close until the end of February. to allow for receipt and processing of outstanding commitments and to account for and properly record the remaining revenue that is owed to the town. During the February and March town board meetings, we will present the most current 2023 preliminary results, and along with that, the respective 2024 monthly financial reports as the year starts. The town's auditors from the Bonadil Group will present highlights of the audited 2023 financial statements and audit report following their annual audit. The 2023 financial results as of December 31st, 100% of the year has obviously elapsed, and the town's total expenses are on par at 100.5%, a sum of $43,680,000. Of this, open encumbrances are $1,549,000, and the actual expenses total $42,131,000. The actual expenses alone equate to 96.9% of the budget. The open encumbrances remain for services, supplies, and commodities committed to in 2023. The general fund expenses are at 98.9% or $27,168,000. The actual expenditures are 96.4% of budget or $26,484,000. While the remaining 2.5% is due to open encumbrances of $684,000. Included in the general fund encumbrances are police vehicles, services related to the school safety grant, legal fees, and other contracted services. Overall, the expenses in the highway funds are 111.9% of budget, total of approximately $7,318,000. These costs and these funds result from considerable expenses and encumbrances for salt, gas, and paving, as were anticipated. The excess expenditures result from additional paving costs, which will be fully reimbursed with a rollover of CHIPS funding from the state. The library expenditures are at 99.2% of budget, beginning preliminary total of $2,772,000. Expenses in the sewer fund of $4,136,000 are below budget at 94.2%. The actual sewer expenditures are $3,752,000 or 85.5% of budget, and encumbrances of $384,000 remain open at this time. The stormwater drainage expenses are approximately 99.4% of budget at $936,000. Regarding the entire town, revenue and appropriated fund balance of $42,146,000 or 99.6% of the budget has been documented to date. The general fund has received revenue of $26,193,000, which is 99.2% of that budget. Real estate taxes of $12,007,000 have been collected. The town has recorded 8 months of sales tax revenue, which amounts to $4,754,000 or 83.4% of that budget. And the AIM-related payment from New York State of $613,000 has now been received. Some additional sources of revenue to be recorded include 6 months of franchise fees, 4 months of sales, and mortgage taxes. At month end, the library had confirmed revenue of $2,818,000 or 100.8% of their revenue budget. 102.7% or $6,706,000 of revenue has been recorded by the highway. 99.4% of the sewer fund revenue of $4,335,000 has been verified, and stormwater drainage has received 99.4% of its budgeted revenue, or $883,000. And then in addition, the American Rescue Funds, or ARPA, of $22,454,916 have been received. The use of the funding is restricted for the response to and relief of COVID-19, and can be used to cover costs incurred through December 31st, 2024. To date, approximately $21,600,000 has been allocated to projects under ARPA. And this concludes the first preliminary financial report for December of 2023.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Next is the approval of the minutes. We have a draft minutes of the workshop meetings of December 12th, 2023, and the regular meeting of December 19th, 2023, and the special meeting of December 29th, 2023. Does the board have any concerns about the minutes?
I don't know if we've received a copy.
They're in the editing. I'm just proofing them
Okay.
now. I'll have them as soon as I can.
Yeah, great.
Okay. We have several items for the board action at the January 16th meeting. Madam Clerk, could you please read the first item?
Certainly. The first resolutions are appointments, and there are 4 of them. The first one is authorizing the appointment of a tree trimmer.
Could I get an explanation?
The sec,
Sorry. 1 minute. Aaron or Jason?
I can speak to that, Mr. Supervisor. Commissioner McGee has a couple vacancies in the department. This position here is equivalent to a motor equipment operator. It is a little more specialized for the tree department, and we posted it according to the blue collar CSEA guidelines. I believe there may have been interviews conducted this past week or so, and Aaron selected a candidate for that.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please read the next item.
the second item is the authorizing the appointment of a permanent motor equipment operator in the Town of Arundequoit's Public Works Department.
Aaron or Jason?
As I just mentioned, with the couple of vacancies, this will be the second one we'd request to fill this month. This is for the motor equipment operator, which I think will greatly help with the snow and ice season, which is already upon us.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk,
Okay.
please read the next item.
The third one is the authorizing the reappointment of a bingo inspector. And that's within the town clerk. Our bingo inspector has agreed to another term, and he is very good at going in and looking at anything that might cause some concerns. And he's an Arundequoit resident.
Any discussion?
None for me.
Madam Clerk?
The fourth resolution authorizes the supervisor to appoint seasonal, on-call, part-time, and temporary staff for the year 2024 for the town of Arundequoit.
Any discussion?
None for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jason, please explain.
Sure. This is a traditional resolution we do every year at the organizational meeting. It was overlooked this year, so we just want to get this on record. Delegating the authority to hire your seasonal, part-time, on-call type employees, it really helps us hire as we need to fill these positions rather than wait several weeks and lose a good candidate.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Okay. The next resolution is from Comptroller, authorizing capital lease financing of one plow truck for the Bureau of Public Works.
Megan or Rick?
I got So this, actually, the one that will be coming to the regular town board meeting is the second step in the process of when we're approving financing for things that were previously approved for purchasing. So you'll be hopefully approving the first part of it later on in this meeting, which authorize, Diana had solicited quotes. I believe M&T Bank was the only one that responded. So this authorizes us to deal with M&T Bank and with the terms that they provided. And then the second resolution, which will be at the regular meeting, gives more of the specific details, all the legalities, and authorizes the supervisor to enter into the financing contract. And hopefully, Megan, I didn't misstate any of that.
That was well done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion?
Good for me.
Madam Clerk?
The next resolution authorizes tuition reimbursement for an employee.
Chief Peters?
If
Or
you
Jason.
wouldn't mind, I'll just start out on
Right.
this. There is a tuition reimbursement policy at the town. We have an employee in the police department who would like to continue her education. She has applied for that through HR after getting approval from the chief. It's been reviewed by the comptroller, myself. We have no issues. We like to encourage employees to further their education.
And I would agree.
Yes, sir. This is actually for, sorry about that. There we go. It's actually for one of my captains. She only has 36 hours left to finish her bachelor's degree, so she'll be easily be able to do it.
Awesome. Any discussion?
How does that exactly work? So we authorize it now, and then they take the class, then the grade comes back, and then the reimbursement occurs?
Pretty much spot on, yes. The application process just outlines the limits. There's the maximum is $8,000 for an employee's lifetime, limited to $3,200 per year. So this, it's a good help, especially for an employee who already has some credits under their belt.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
There are 3 resolutions coming from the police department. The first one is authorizing the purchase of a top-load washing machine for animal control.
Chief Peters?
Yes, sir. This is for washing a lot of the bedding for the animals that come in there, and obviously being able to keep the areas sanitary. Obviously, it gets used every day, and we tried to fix it, but I had the DPW guys come over, and it's beyond repair. So we definitely got to keep the dogs healthy and clean in there.
Any discussion?
I did get a chuckle. The agenda calls it a Washington machine.
Those work too.
But the actual resolution is all correct, but it did cause me to chuckle.
Madam Clerk?
Okay, the second one is authorizing 2 officers to attend. I don't know if that's TACOPS or TACOPS.
TACOPS.
Chief
TAC Ops.
TACOPS North Tactical Training Conference in Verona, New York.
Chief Peters?
Yes, sir. This is a week-long training opportunity plus a trade show. A couple of my instructors are actually going out there for the price of what we pay for one officer. That's usually about half of what it gets them one certification for any other class. So they can actually get up to like 2 to 3 different certifications that would be come right back and be useful to our department. So it's quite frankly, it's the money that's spent there is a lot cheaper than going anywhere else, and they can be immersed in training all week long.
I want to say that training for police officers is critical to make all communities safe. So thanks for that, Chief Peters. Any discussion?
And the third resolution authorizes the hiring of a photographer for the police department's 100th anniversary photographs.
Chief Peters?
Yes, sir. We were hoping to actually utilize the services of a professional photographer. We got 3 different quotes. We have our 100th anniversary obviously started this year. We have not had any formal professional photographs or composite photographs taken of the police department for at least 10 years. A lot of our photos are outdated. We can't use them professionally for any type of social media. Plus also, we wanted to have individual photos taken so that we could be moralized, have the officers moralized, obviously for the history of the department. Plus, with our community engagement, I have an idea of actually taking individual photos of the units, obviously our new canines, putting everything all together and creating basically what you would see like a trading card, baseball trading cards. We would be able to have the officers would be able to have them, carry them in their pockets. Obviously in the situations where we see kids, we always hand out stickers, but you know what? We could actually have our pictures of our officers out there, put them on our website, just so you can actually see the officers, put a face to a name, and actually get to know the officers that are in your town.
Excellent idea. Madam Clerk?
The resolution from Recreation authorizes the supervisor to enter into agreements with vendors for the town's 2024 Winterfest celebration.
Thank you. This resolution will allow us to move forward with our contracts for service vendors for the Winterfest celebration in February, including our horse and wagon rides, meet and greets with the alpacas and the huskies, a variety of outdoor winter games and musical entertainment for that event.
Any discussion?
Hopefully, we'll have some winter.
Madam Clerk? I'm sorry.
That was all of the resolutions. We do have an item for board action.
Well, before we move to that, we do have one more resolution we'll be adding. We did find someone to take the secretary to the supervisor position. That person, actually, their grandfather served on the board, so I'm kind of excited about that. The resumes are available in HR if you want to review. Madam Clerk.
I don't have that resolution. No?
I'll give you that to you later. It just happened.
Thank
So this will be added on to the regular
Certainly.
meeting.
Okay.
Okay, we have an item for action.
Item for board action. And this resolution authorizes capital lease financing of one plow truck for the Bureau of Public Works.
Can I get an explanation?
This would be the first step of the process that we talked about in there. So this approves going ahead with M&T to finalize the financing and get the paperwork rolling for anticipated closing date on the financing of it.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
I have a question before. The amounts on this resolution are different than the financing resolution.
I'm sorry, what?
The amount on the resolution that we're looking at currently is different than the amount of the resolution for next week. Unless I'm reading.
If I may, I actually did discuss this with the comptroller when we prepared these particular resolutions. The one for today includes the financing charge. The one for next week is only for the principal amount. So, and if you read carefully, it does distinguish the two. But for the first step, to say, yes, we will finance this, it's important that you know what the financing charge is. And then next week, it's for all the other legalities associated with it.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to adopt?
Moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? With that, I'll ask that all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. This concludes the meeting on January 9th, 2024. Our next meeting is the regular town board meeting on Tuesday, January 16th at 7 p.m. here in the Broderick Room.
Excuse me, Mr. Supervisor, I have a request, if I could.
Yes.
Only because I understand it's been entertained in the past. I'm going to make a request that, is there a chance we could move the workshop to a different day of the week? Again, I understand that new on the board, but for professional reasons, I'm going to make the request if it could be considered and have a conversation about that, if that's possible.
Well, I know that we approved this year's board meetings and workshops, right? So Grant, what do you want to do? Do it on a Wednesday?
Wednesday or Monday would work, Wednesday or Monday would work better for my schedule, to be honest with you.
I remember at one time we had a board member that was in the assembly, and we changed everything till Thursdays. So if you need to change it one day and make it a Wednesday, it'll be the second Wednesday instead of the second Tuesday.
Right.
We just have to do a resolution to do that. If
That would
you
help
know, you
tremendously.
out,
Thank you.
I'm okay with it to do one day. We've done it before, so.
Madam Attorney?
So legally speaking, we would just need a board resolution to change the dates.
Wednesdays are already encumbered for me during the evenings.
What about Mondays?
No, we have the,
What's up
Don't they
Wednesday, Pete?
Mondays, we have the.
I'm
we have the
on
zoning
another board, and I have my board meetings Wednesday in the evenings.
Okay.
What time are those?
Well, the board meeting's at 4 p.m. and then the actual meeting's at 5 p.m.
Okay.
Is Thursday an option?
No, that's.
I guess
I mean,
that's,
for years we've had. I'm maybe I could work Monday, but I understand.
yeah.
I mean, I work my schedule around Tuesdays, so.
So we would have to do a Monday? And your meetings are out of town too, correct?
Yes, they are.
So
Yes, they are.
we
John.
gotta figure this,
Mondays might be better, but
thing is, it
Tuesdays,
shortens up
Wednesdays,
the
and
day for
Thursdays.
the workshop agendas, that's all.
Thursdays I
Everybody.
teach during the fall, and that.
So let's go around, would Monday work for you
Monday would definitely work for me,
at 4
Mr.
p.m.?
Supervisor, at
Same
4
time?
p.m.
Just changing the workshops to Mondays?
Just the workshops, yes.
Will that encumber the town clerk or any of the department heads to move to Monday?
When does the planning board meet? Because it seems that
7 p.m. on Monday.
on Monday.
I mean, we'd be out of here usually by 7 p.m. Yeah, planning board's at 7
Okay.
o'clock, right? So we would,
It's
I
fine
don't
with
see
me.
workshops going over till 7 o'clock, so.
Mr. Comptroller,
Fine with
Comptroller's office? Rick, will that affect you at all?
Not that I'm aware of, so.
So Monday's at 4?
Do the,
Selena?
Yeah, that's fine. I will miss the one on the 12th.
so it'll be the second Monday instead of the second Tuesday.
Well,
So we
probably
gotta accommodate those two. They're busy, so yeah, I'm okay either way. I'm good with Mondays.
Okay, so we need a resolution, and we'll vote on it at the regular meeting on the 16th to move the meeting with the revised schedule that we have to publish before then,
Just workshops.
just the workshops.
Workshops.
Thank you for the consideration.
Yeah, in general, the Mondays are fine for me.
Okay, any other items before we move to close the meeting? The judges said they'll stay around after the meeting. Madam Attorney, is there any issue discussing with the judges, or should we move to executive session and discuss with them?
So certainly, all actual meetings need to occur in the open. If we wanted to have a discussion here, maybe around a table and leave it open to the public, that wouldn't be a problem with the open meetings law. If in fact there were going to be a couple people having a conversation in one place of the room and a couple people having a conversation in another place of the room, that would be more problematic. And certainly the public needs to be part of that as well. So I'm not really certain how you envision speaking with the judges, but if town business is going to be discussed with a quorum of the board present, we just need to make sure it's open to the public.
So there's two items that we need to discuss. One is litigation, which can I call executive session?
So litigation can be handled a couple different ways. Absolutely, an executive session is appropriate. Also, an attorney-client meeting is appropriate, either way.
Okay, let's call an attorney-client meeting, and then after that, we'll have an open, keep the meeting open to have a roundtable discussion with the judges.
So just from the, procedurally,
Okay,
we should do the, if we're keeping the meeting open, we should do the judges first, then we close the meeting and go into an attorney-client meeting, which is not subject to the open meetings law.
All right, so let's have open discussion with the judges, 10 minutes, and then we'll move to executive session at 17:30, 5:30.
Unless you want to hang out.
Better running.
I'm gonna. Oh, of course. Well, I'm gonna stick around for the attorney-client. I'm a necessary part of it.
I hope so.
I'm just gonna grab Chief Peters quickly because I've got to update him on something.
That's exactly what I was having.
Oh, okay, great.
The hiring of Kimberly Kimball. So that's in there. After that is the court's budget. And then after that, I believe, is the job announcement, which describes the job summary, the representative duties, and so on, as to what was posted for the job announcement. We wanted to have you all, have all of that. Just to show like the history of this, we're trying to show the importance of this position. We're hoping that the board does decide to reverse its decision in eliminating the position. And then what I have additionally, which I didn't provide with part of that, but I can provide it to you now, are some of the numbers that I talked about. Those numbers, it's very brief. I chose, as I said, 2018 because it was pre-COVID. Just to show what a regular year was like that. You can see we had in 2018 1,255 penal law cases. The penal law, those are the criminal matters. We had 7,288 vehicle and traffic law. In 2023, we had 1,060 penal law cases, so there was a slight drop of 16% in those cases. And then the VTL was the big drop. That was the 54% drop in VTL tickets. I've got some started and closed numbers. I also have fines generated. So the fines generated in 2018, these are just from the 3,225 matters that were open and closed in 2018. That was $75,149. But there was also more generated that year, and that always happens because you have what's generated within that year from the cases that were open and closed that year. But then you have carryover cases, which we're getting more of, unfortunately, because it's harder to get both criminal defendants back and also the VTL people who have been fined to come back and pay. But the fines generated then were 186,219. You can see that the fines are obviously less in 2023. The fines generated for the open and closed, that was 1,586 cases. That was 36,054. Total fines generated was 95,309. The reason that we did that is to show the difference in number, but we also wanted to get across to the board that VTL brings in the money for us, and obviously that's less now, but the bulk of our work is actually on the criminal matters. So the VTL doesn't take as much work, so it's not like just because we have a reduction in the number of cases, it's not like we have our court clerks over there just twiddling their fingers and not working. They're actually working very hard. And then the other numbers I did have were just sort of comparing the Irondequoit to Henrietta, and again, it's just because they're both the three judges. Our total number of cases for 2023 was 5,500, and that's among all three of the judges. Henrietta had 5,316, so just a little bit below us. And most of the numbers are similar, except our penal law. We have way more penal law criminal matters. We had 1,060, and Henrietta had only 800. That's actually a big difference. 200 in the criminal part is actually a big difference because, again, the criminal cases take more time. I don't know if you have any questions. The other concern we have, and it's a big concern, was how this happened. I don't really want to dwell on it. We've already discussed our displeasure with how this happened. We do expect that if it involves anything to do with court operations, that the judges get notified. Sally's great. She actually couldn't come to that meeting, I don't want to say surprise meeting, the fast meeting after the election, because she was actually filling in for one of our clerks who, in court, she was working in court because we were down a clerk, and we had no one else to fill in. So Sally was actually filling in court when that meeting happened. We had no idea that this was going to happen. And, you know, that part was disappointing. We understand the position, but we do think it was unfair to do this if it was even based on revenue. I don't even know if it was based on revenue. I'm not sure how the decision was made.
And you have how many open positions right now?
So what happened was we were trying to fill, Judge Whitman, clerk, no longer was working with us. That was back in September. We had asked repeatedly to fill that position, and that kept getting declined, and we didn't understand why. So that position remained open. Judge Whitman, who was a part-time employee, was actually serving as her own clerk and actually working full-time from September all the way through to December. That one still remains open. However, what we did when Judge Green came in, Judge Russey's clerk was actually hired by Judge Whitman. So she is staying with us. She just moved from Judge Russey to Judge Whitman. That still leaves an opening, which Judge Green has for his clerk, which he has to hire. I know he has someone in mind. Temporarily, we have moved Kim Kimball there. It is a significant decrease in her salary, but she has moved over there temporarily until Judge Green can get his clerk in. So we do have that one position. During the preliminary meetings for the budget, we were informed that we were losing the funding for one of our part-time clerks. The way our court works is each judge has their full-time clerk, and then there's 3 part-time clerks, or there was 3 part-time clerks. And the funding was taken away for one of our part-time clerks. We opted to not contest that. We accepted it, and we thought that that was it, along with another issue was our security budget was decreased. That's going to be very difficult for us because we only pay security officers $25 an hour. We're having a very difficult time actually finding someone who will work.
And Judge, I understand that $25 an hour is a lot less than the other courts are paying, right?
It is. We have done some research. I'm going to compile the numbers. Also, we've talked with the, like the private firms, security firms. Not only is it a lot less than them, they also designate between armed and unarmed. We do have two armed over there who are making $25 an hour. They could easily go somewhere else and probably make around 60. So that's also going to be an issue, and our budget was cut as part of the preliminary. But we're willing to talk with the board members. We're willing to talk with the supervisor to try to work out, any of the financials for the court. Also, we are part of the town. We're proud to be part of the town. We're public officers just like you. And we understand our budget is definitely controlled by you. In a perfect world, and I believe that we do have statute and case law that we can also provide if you want, but in a perfect world, you control our budget. You tell us what our budget is, and then we determine who's working over there. Now, you have to approve that. That's required, that you approve who we want to hire. But the statute and case law is actually quite clear. We control the operations over there. So that's why, like, this what happened does overstep that a bit.
So that's because the court is independent of the town, in other words?
To a degree, we are. We work with the town. The only independence that we have.
I mean, as far as direction, we can't direct the court to do anything or to prosecute a certain level. It has to be based on the law.
It can be, you can discuss it with us, but for any hiring or firing over there, the board just can't do it on its own. It actually has to be with our consent, and that's right in the town law, section 20.
So there's a misconception that you're not part of the town because of a certain independence by law you have to operate within.
Yeah, we're very much a part of the town. You definitely control our budget. We are fine with that. We're happy to work with the town on that. But with respect to operations, the law does create some separation of powers and some separation of duties. The town board can ask to fire someone over there, but it can only be done upon advice and consent of the judges, and consent is the big.
Have you had the opportunity to put together a budget counter proposal?
No, we haven't. To be honest, we don't have much to work with. I mean, we were cut money before that in the preliminary budget. As I said, some of what was cut. I'm not sure how we're going to deal with that.
Most of the departments come to us with a proposed budget, and then that's, I wouldn't say negotiated, but for lack of a better word, negotiated with the town and.
Oh, well, we did that in preliminary.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, have you put together a new counter proposal?
No, we have not. No. Yeah.
I guess I'd like to, to work with the controller and find out what that is. I mean, I don't know where we're going to get money from other than fund balance, which is like not hard, but I don't even know what we're talking about, if it's 50 cents or $50,000.
So what we would be asking for is her job being reinstated at what she was making, which was, I think, approximately around 53 plus her benefits. That's what we would be asking.
And no additional other.
No, that's we're
only one we're talking about.
Yeah, we're just asking for her job back. The other amounts, the other stuff, we're not asking for back. We were.
Clerk position has already been funded.
Yeah.
So she's getting paid off that right now.
All right.
Yeah. So it really is just the one. We've already lost the part-time that we concede. We've already had the reductions on the other items. That's what we understood that was happening. We didn't fight that. And then we had this surprise one, that's all.
I just want to make a statement. Listen, I've listened to a few things. I've been involved in 16 budgets in this town. I have never, ever stopped with a budget and had an issue that I approved a budget knowing that the town wasn't going to be able to function. Let's clear the air right there, okay? I want to make that clear, that I've never approved a budget knowing that it's going to stop the town from functioning. That's number one. Number two, listen, thanks for, I appreciate you coming. We talked about this before, and Pete, you were just hit it. I'm assuming the financing is going to have to come from the general fund unless we could talk to the comptroller and find another error. We just talked about that we just took $80-something thousand out of the general fund for wages and benefits that we've never had done before. So now we're asked to do it again unless there's another avenue to do it. So that's something we'd have to talk about. That's a slippery road that I don't want to continue going down. I made it a point last meeting about it. I don't want to continue going down that road. If there's another alternative, I'd like to hear it. If there's a possibility there's another alternative. Diana's out this week. I did try to read, I knew she was on vacation this week, but I think she can be instrumental on some kind of decision that we can make here. We got to find the money. How are we going to pay for it, okay? So, again, I want to continue to make this clear that I don't make decisions on stopping the town from functioning, okay? I've been through 16 budgets. This is the first time this has ever happened, that someone wants to bring a job back, okay? It's never happened before. Listen, you're passionate about it. Everybody's passionate about it. Sally's passionate about it. I understand that. I understand it, okay? So that's what we have to find. But I'm not going to sit here and think that we're not trying to make the town function.
So,
because that's pretty insulting to me.
Ms. Perticone, no one is trying to insult you.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general that people are saying that, because of the budget, I'm not going to do anything to the court so you can't function, okay?
Well,
the biggest question is we got to find the financing for this position.
1 second, let's go one at a time. Let's go one at a time.
It's 50,000 plus benefits, right? That's what we're talking about. So in the 60s probably, somewhere around there, right? Whatever. I don't know.
Mr. Perticone,
Yeah.
no one's accusing you personally of anything.
Yeah, well.
Number two, the decisions were made, and we have 2 incidents where it has hurt the functioning of the town.
Here we go. See, we
All right?
made it sound like we did it. We didn't
Whether or
do it.
not it was intentional or non-intentional, the fact is.
Why would you say it was intentional? It's not even a fact that.
Okay, if you listen to what I just said, I said whether it was intentional or not intentional. The fact is, we have 2 positions, my office and the court office, that is saying they need something that wasn't included in the budget. Whether it has been done before is irrelevant. The fact that it has been done now. And no one's accusing you personally. No one's trying to insult you. No one is trying to paint any paint on you that it wasn't there. So they're saying that they cannot function without this clerk, and I'm saying I cannot function without my assistant and at least 1 secretary, which I have. So we're moving forward. We're saying that here's the cause, and that's it. So if you feel personal about it, I'm sorry. No one's trying to make you feel personal about it.
It's not personal. Now we got to find out where the funding is going to come. That's what we have to.
The other thing that I want to bring forward, especially for the listening public, is we are looking at ways to save costs. The message I have with all my department heads is let's see if we can reduce costs without reducing functionality or people by using technology, by using new methods, and that's what we're looking at now. So hopefully we can make up for any changes that we have in changing how we do business and how we look at using technology to improve the town's function.
Okay, 2 quick comments. Thank you. First, I'd like to say Deputy Supervisor Perticone has always been supportive of our courts throughout my 14 years that I've been here, so I appreciate that. The one concern we have, and it's still a concern, and we don't want this to go forward like this, I don't know how the decision was made to eliminate this position and say that it's not going to affect the courts without talking to us. I mean, we are the 3, and Judge Russi before Judge Green, who work there every day. None of us was talked to about how this would affect our court. So I'm not blaming anyone in terms of why this happened, but it did happen. That it has affected our court. Now, can we operate? Yes, but has it made really difficult to operate? Extremely. And the only reason, and I know this has never happened before, that we're asking for this job back is because it's never happened before where we weren't talked to and we had a position eliminated without anyone, not one person, coming and asking, oh, hey, how is this going to affect your court? And that's a huge issue, and we honestly hope that never happens going forward again.
And this person's currently filling in a funded position that partially covers
her salary.
Right.
Yes.
So we're looking at just the delta between
No,
this.
no, because we have to fill that position once we move her. If we get this position back, she would go to the deputy court position, which pays hopefully 53, and with benefits. And then there's an open, full-time, basically mostly criminal court clerk that would be hired by Judge Green. He would choose that clerk to fill that position.
In the budget.
That's in the budget. That's
So
an extra.
right now, Judge, is she your clerk right now? All right, right now, okay. All right, so she's doing your clerk duties right as we speak. Okay, right, okay. Thank you.
I mean, I think I understand and, work with the controller, Diana, and the supervisor and see what the impact of this is and how it could potentially be funded, and we'll consider it, I guess.
Yeah, we really appreciate your time. Again, we just want to work with the board and our new supervisor, Evans. It's important that we have a good relationship with you. We want to work through things, and we appreciate your time. What we can also leave you, I'll get the stats for you, but we also I have the statute, I have town law, section 20, I can give you that. And we also have an article. We go through training every year. We're required to go through training every year. It's also usually very good training. And one of the trainings that we have, Judge Whitman DeVoe will pass it out, what I'm talking about. It's just an article, training article as to how the town board interacts with the court and who has what responsibilities, who controls what. It was very helpful to us, when we go through and have that training. We're just giving it to you just so it's helpful for you guys too, as to where we're coming from in our relationship.
You sure you don't need excitement?
Yeah. I think if you read through that, you'll see where we're coming from in our relationship, and also what the law requires, really, also. So, but again, thank you for your time. We don't see this as contentious. We just see this as something that we hope that can get fixed.
And I do want to reiterate that we are looking at how to save costs using technology and using different methods in all our departments. So I think this will be okay in the end. And if it's not, I'll come back to the board and let them know exactly what we did or didn't find out through the different departments. So.
Well, thank you very much.
And if
Yep.
I could just say the last piece,
If you could just stand by the microphone so
Yep.
that it picks up for the
Yes.
live stream. Thank you.
I usually have a very loud voice. So
It's just the recording equipment.
the last piece, the frequently asked
Okay.
questions, that actually was in the town association book that we just got, the magazine that we just got.
Oh, okay.
And I was told, by Jason that that is going to be part of the Association of Towns meeting, their annual meeting as well. So I would just ask that you look at that and read, and you can see where some of our concerns are too, because it does indicate that the town board and the judges need to act together. We need to be notified if something is going to change, and we need to act together. The town board and the judges have the responsibility for the courts, and we understand that. But we were just concerned that we were never told about it. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening.
And with that, let's move to
We'll close the meeting.
And with that,
We going to executive session?
We can do
We gotta go to
either an
executive session? We
or
don't have to close the
attorney-client
meeting, right?
meeting.
Oh, all right.
let's do an attorney-client meeting.
We can close this.
Can I And this concludes the workshop for our meeting January 9th, 2024. Our next meeting is regular town board meeting on Tuesday, January 16th at 7 p.m. here in the Broderick Room. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All right, second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The meeting is adjourned.